Good afternoon everyone. I'm Danny. I'm a pedagogical consultant at itslearning. Some of you will have met me or at least know my voice. As per usual, the good people from Norway that work on design and makeup haven't turned up, so no camera today. What we're going to do in this session, we're going to talk about the itslearning planner, and thus, it's titled Planning for Success. So on the agenda today, we're going to look at two questions. Basically, what is the planner in itslearning? What are the common ways in which plans can be used? We're going to do a little demo of creating engaging plans. So how we create a plan that a learner can engage with and how we set it up so that it enables them to do so. And then just promoting natural engagement, and this is hand in hand with that sort of demo point really, and just coming back to it. But basically how learners can engage with the content really easily, really quickly, and in a way that they'll quite enjoy. Okay, so moving on. The first one up is, what is the planner? Okay, so the planner is the backbone of itslearning. It's what we develop. We put a lot of development time into, and it's a bit of a USP for us at itslearning. So plans are a great way for teachers to prepare a course roadmap with structure, scope and sequence. So scaffolding our learning there for the learner. And it can also be customised based on the teacher's needs. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But basically making it work in a way that works for how we want it to work and how we structure our classes and our lessons, whether that be group-based learning, individual-based learning, or however we choose to do it. So moving over, we have what are the common ways in which plans can be used. Okay, so plans are designed to be perfect for flipped learning, bridging activities and independent learning, alongside the usual organisation of lesson notes and resources. And the planner itself can be used in a number of different ways, but these are just a few of the more common ways that we see it being used. So when we talk about flipped learning, obviously this is in more technical education, apprenticeships, technical colleges, BTECs, that kind of thing, where the tutor gives the learner something to do, so some research, some learning, reading, basically the theory of anything before they turn up to the workshop. And what that does is it gives learners the idea that when they come to college or to the workplace or anything like that, they can spend more time on the stuff that most of them do enjoy. So more time on the hands-on practical activities, more time with the tutor being able to see them and how they are with, let's say machinery or car parts, for example. And obviously most of these will have been introduced to the topic before they start the lesson. Usually, obviously, we have to equip this with some sort of starter task. So sticky notes on a board, that kind of thing, to make sure that or learners have done this learning. The idea obviously here, like we previously said, they do the theory, they come in, we have to check that theory has been done, particularly if it involves health and safety, and then we move on to the fun stuff. Okay, so that's what we sort of consider flipped learning. Bridging activities, obviously more aimed at, I suppose, the A-level courses and K-12 and things like that, where you might set them some work to do from one lesson to the next, which sort of knowledge checks them on what they have learned and then leads them in to what they will be learning in the next lesson. So that kind of thing. So the learners do these plans in between lessons, just as sort of additional extras there. And then the last one we've got on here is that independent learning. And independent learning, we could talk for hours on, I'm sure. I won't do, don't worry. But basically, we like to use it for delivering the shorter courses, such as your referencing, staying safe. You can deliver the school induction on there, and the learner can enroll on that course themselves, work through the plans in their own time, and basically pick up the knowledge without really being teacher led. So that's kind of the common ways in which we see the plan tool being used, and the way that we'll show you how to use it today can lend itself to all three of those things really easily. So that's why we've chose those three in particular, because they are popular and the planner really does well with them three. Okay, so let's jump into our demo here, and we're going to start to create a plan. So here I am on my itslearning portal, my itslearning platform here. I'm logged in as a teacher, so I'm logged in as Sian. We can see at the top right hand side I've got Sian's name up there and an image there. And we can see that under the English literature course, Sian's got a follow-up task, but if we click into here, we can see straight away we've got two plans that have already been created. So what we want to do is obviously we want to create a new plan. So to do that, we come up to the Plans tab at the top, and we can see we've got some headers. So we've got current plans, got a past plan in there, and one without a date, which is probably still being worked on. And we're simply just going to click on Add Plan. Okay, so once we've clicked on Add Plan, this gives us a really nice sort of course card or plan card view, and it's really easy to start filling in. So from the left hand side here, I can just click on Add Image, and I'll select an image there that I prepared earlier, and we can add a title. So I'm going to call this The Tiger, spelt how I want to spell it. And we can start to add a date of when we want this plan to be delivered. And this is where we can start to sort of differentiate a little bit, because if we add a date, it's going to show up on that overview screen where we just were. If we don't add a date, then the learner can still navigate to the plan section and find the plan and continue to work on it, but it doesn't deliver it directly to them. Okay, so this helps with that sort of engagement and enhancing that student engagement, just putting it there on the screen. As soon as they click the course, it's delivered to them straight away. For those independent learning ones, where it might be referencing skills or staying safe or inductions, we don't have to put a date. They can navigate to the plans and they can start going through the topics as they like. It's not assessed as such, so in that sense, it's not quite as important. It's their own sort of micro course there that they're doing. So enough talking about dates. Let's add a date in there. So let's put today, and let's finish that on Sunday. So we can see here it's brought up some events that we already have in the calendar, and it's saying, is this a part of this calendar event, or is this a part of this calendar event? And what that does, it lets us really easily tie this plan to a particular lesson or a particular event in the day. Okay, so I'm not going to do that at the moment, but it is just a simple tick box, and we hit save. Next here we've got topic, and I've got a few topics in here. This one, the tiger, belongs to William Blake, so we can see that my topics are mainly poems and screenplay writers, and that's kind of how I've chose to do it, but this can be used in a whole host of different ways. We can create new ones directly from the planner, or we can create them under the plan tab where we just were. And what this does, we can start to put a lot of our plans, our lesson plans, into units, into topics, under teacher name. Basically any way that we want to tag these plans, we can do using these add topics. Okay, so I'm just going to attach William Blake to that one there. We can see that it's visible by default. I'm going to leave that as visible because I want it to be delivered to my learners straight away. And then all we've got to do is add some context and then start adding our resources. So for the context, we literally just click on the box and start typing, so really easy. I've cheated a little bit by copying and pasting. And we can see though it's a little bit boring, it's kind of just a bit of text. So we can go to this pencil and this little pad up here, select that, and we can start to edit this using the rich text editor. Okay, so I can start to just make it a little bit prettier, for example. Change a few of those things around. Don't like that. And then we can start to add in images and video and audio recording. So let's add an image. There he is, the man himself. And I'm just going to go into those properties and just left align that. And we can save there. Okay, so now it's looking a little bit nicer, more approachable for a learner to read through and get the context of that lesson. We could put other things in here, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a few minutes, but we could put links in there, and like I said before, audio, video recordings, and that kind of thing. So now we're on our lesson, our resources, and what we can do here, we've got this little add symbol, and when we select add, we have a number of different options. So the top three, the assignment, the task and the page, are the most used tools in itslearning. Okay, so we make those really easy for you guys just to click on and to use, because we figure they're the three that are going to be used most. So we're constantly looking at ways that we can make your life easier as you're making, well, your own lives easier as well, and the learner's life that bit easier too. As well as these, we've got little arrows next to them, so that basically anything that we've already created or created recently comes up here, so we don't have to go searching for it. Okay, it's just fantastic. So you don't have to go searching for it, it's right there for you to click into the plan. Just makes life that little bit easier. We can import from the computer, from our own hard drives, laptops, computers. We can import from Google Drive or 365, so we can link to files that might be in our cloud files, our SharePoint, our OneDrive. We can explore the itslearning library. If we are collaborating with another teacher in the library, we can add those resources into here. The way I'm going to do it, I'm going to click on course, and this means that I can search my own course that I'm working on at the moment for any resources that I've already uploaded and created. So I'm on William Blake here, so let me just drop Blake down, and I can see I'll pick that one. We need to know who William Blake was, so further reading, and let's get the tiger poem in there. So we've got a verbal and a written version. That's great. And we've got a discussion here. Now I'm going to come back to the discussion, but I'll put it in for now anyway. And then we've got a knowledge check and an analysis. And let's put these group presentations of peer reviews in as well. Okay, so great thing about adding from resources is you can just add loads of stuff all at once. So let's get that saved. So we can see now I've got a nice long list of resources. I've got a bit of context as to what I'm expecting the learner to do with those resources. So whether that's going to be a bridging activity or whether it's going to be a flipped learning situation, we can tell them what we expect of them, make sure that they know what's going on for the next lesson. Now we can see here we've got a couple of grey ones here, a couple of grey eyes with a little slip through. That means the learner can't see these. So what we can do is we can set the date that this plan is going to be active. So let's say we give them a week to do it. And then at the end of that week, we can have these suddenly appear. So the learner can be doing the learning, and then at the very last day on Friday, when they think they've done it all and they're really happy and they're going out for pizza, we can make all these fantastic knowledge checks and assignments just pop up and appear for them. It makes them really happy. So I think that's a really good way of doing it. But we can obviously move these around as well. So for example, if I wanted to move my knowledge check further up, I could just drag it and drop it on these dots here. And if I do want to remove something, I've got the arrow right at the end and I can remove it from the plan too. Okay, so really easy to manage these resources, really easy to start pulling them on and taking them off. Just whilst we're on this screen, let's talk about these numbers here. So these numbers are basically the amount of learners or the number of learners that have visited the resource. So these resources have been on my course for a little while. They've just not been added to a plan yet. And I can see that 3 out of 16 learners have viewed this, 5 out of 16 learners have viewed this, and so on and so forth. And it's a really nice sort of way of quickly seeing how far along the majority of your class are. Okay, so how engaged the majority of your class are with this plan. And then obviously we can go into our 360-degree reports, which we'll cover in a different session, and we can figure out who the ones are that aren't engaging, who are engaging, and we can send them a message to figure out what's going on. Okay, so a really good sort of tip there as to where your learners are up to and how popular the resource is. Obviously, if it's not too popular, then does it need to be there, or does it just need to be more engaging? So that's the plan there. So let's create that. So I'll click create at the top. And now we can see I've got the Tiger plan sitting at the bottom here with 8 resources. I've got my the Lamb plan there, another 6 resources, and one from William Shakespeare up here. So going back to that overview screen, I now have all 3 plans. I can just show more there if I need to. And I'm ready and I'm set for the learner to come and select those plans. So we've had a bit of a demo of how we create the plan from the teacher's perspective and the teacher's point of view. And where did I go there? There we go. And what we want to do now is jump onto how the learner engages with this content. Okay, so with the plan, the view for the teacher is slightly different to the view for the learner. Okay, so I'll read it as I've done before. Itslearning has plenty of ways to enhance learner engagement. The planner is one tool that makes content easy to find, use and refer back to. Okay, so this is the whole point of the plan. This is the point of planning it online, scaffolding that learning online. It's because it just makes things easier. It makes things easier to access, easier to refer back to, and obviously, as we all know, as soon as the learner gets on the bus going home at night, they're wanting to do the homework straight away. So, we want to make it possible for them to do that. Okay, so let's look at Itslearning from that learner point of view. So I'm going to sign out from my teacher here and sign in as a learner. Now, for those of you that have realised that I've not had to go through 2-factor authentication, I turned it off just for this demo. Okay, so going into our English literature course, we can see the same view as I had as the teacher, but here we've got a few extras. Okay, so on the right hand side, I can see what's due tomorrow. I'm not looking at what I need to mark because I'm not a teacher. I'm looking at what I need to do. We've got our plans down here, and we can see that any plan that's not been started, so there's no progress there, it has a little start button, and any plan that has been started or resources have been looked at shows a continue button. Okay, so let's jump into Othello here as the first, so we can click start. We can see that this plan here has a little YouTube video to watch and a few resources to look at. And there's two ways that I can access these, so it's quite intuitive. I can either click on start or I can just select a resource. When I select a resource, it brings me into this what we call the play plan, and it's a really clean, nice area where all of the content can be viewed in as big a screen as possible and using all of the real estate of whatever screen size you're using. We have a way to hide the side panel to make it bigger if you want to, and by clicking on the next resource we can start scrolling through the resources that we want to look at. Okay, so again, really intuitive and multiple ways of doing it. We can click the resource, or at the bottom right here we can click on next, so it doesn't matter what we use, it's going to do the same thing. Nice big YouTube video there for us to watch, and we can also, as the learner, mark something as unread. So if I come to something and I think, right, well I've read the first two things there and this video here is a bit long, it's going to be about an hour and a half, I'll mark that as unread and I'll come back to it later. So we come back, we can see 2 out of 3 have been looked at. We've marked this Othello movie here as unread, which means that it is keyed for us to come back later when we've got a bit more time and finish watching that movie. Back into our Tiger plan here, we can see a number of the resources have already been viewed, but again we can start to click through. That wasn't a name drop, I promise. We can start to click through and get an idea of a really engaging set of resources. Now obviously we want to make sure that the deadlines haven't passed there. Okay, so whether it's anything from Word documents, PDFs to YouTube videos and websites, we get a really good experience for the learner. And this is kind of where I'm going to just have a bit of a talk about the discussion and the link options, which we were going to mention earlier. So before, when we were adding in the context for the plan and we added in our text and we made it look pretty and everything like that, we could also add links. This is really handy when it comes to things like forums and discussion boards. So in this instance we've got an assignment here, and on this assignment I've linked the poem, which is up here anyway. There it is. So they've already seen it, they know it's there, they've already been on the discussion, but now they're on the assignment, and what I want to do is just sort of really easily and quickly show the learner that they can click a link and get taken to that poem that's going to help them, or get taken to the forum or the discussion board that's going to give them some inspiration or some advice. And it's just providing them with those links everywhere we possibly can. And the great thing about these links is they're what we call dynamic links. So as soon as we link them in, it doesn't matter if we link them into the context of the plan, so up here. It doesn't matter if we link them into any of the resources, because when it comes to forums and discussion boards, I tend to do that. I tend to link them all over the show. But as soon as we copy this course, so let's say we've finished this academic year, we move on to the next academic year, and I copy all my course over, all of those links copy with them, and they all link to where they're supposed to, so none of them are going to link backwards to an old course that doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so as soon as you've linked them once using our sort of tree link tool, it automatically gets sort of took over as you copy these things over, which means that providing you've got your lessons in your sort of teaching and learning structure intact on the planner. All you have to do then, year after that, is just tweak. There's no more, you kind of front load the work each term to create your plans, to do your lesson plans, your online learning, your schema work, however you're going to play it, and it just sort of copies over then, and all you're having to do is tweak and keep up, which is far easier than having to rewrite everything on back of a Galaxy wrapper. Okay, so what we'll do, let's show you how that trailing tool works. So back in here as the teacher, I'm just going to quickly maneuver to my course, and we can see I've got something up here to mark, and I've got my plans here. Again, I can see I'm a teacher because I've not got that start button, I've not got that progress bar. Going back into my Tiger summary here, and the context at the top, or the description, I'm just going to type in please use the forum for support, and then using this little folder icon, this one here, I can go into William Blake, I can select my discussion on the Tiger and add that straight in. So now that links directly to this resource. So we can start to link this anywhere we want. We can link it into our assignments, our knowledge checks and our tests. So we've got our knowledge check here, so let's edit that, and why not, that doesn't say completed. Let's give it a shot. Why not look at the forum before completing the test? And little folder again. There we go. Okay, so we can start adding this in all over the show, which means that when the learners working their way through these resources, they're always reminded to go back to the discussion if they need a help, or they're always reminded of which resource directly relates to this one, or which one can really support them in this assessment. So it's just about sort of signposting that learner to wherever they need to go, and that way we get this really sort of neat, compact little online lesson that's going to complement what you're doing in the classroom. And again, you can use it just to store your notes on if you want, because the learner is going to come back to this. They're going to find it really easy to identify that this was the one we did last week, this we did the week before or whatever. So they can find the notes easy enough, and if that's as basic as you want to go with it, then that's fine. But we've got all these other ways that we can use it, where we can use it for flipped learning, we can use it for sort of independent learning tasks and bridging activities, and it just sort of opens the doors to those possibilities. So I realise I've been talking for quite some time there, so I'm going to leave things there. I've been answering your questions as I can as I've been going along, and we'll sort of collate those, and if there's any really cool ones, or if anybody wants to learn more about the planner or get some training on it or look a bit deeper into it, then either just contact me or contact your account manager, and we'll set something up where we can really support you in getting those plans online. I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks very much for turning up. See you later.